So, back to the usual streaming. Welcome to another stream. This is stream number 6 of the tunnel size coding. It is, let's say, Ozzy last week said it is not exactly the demo tunnel coding, but it is related to demo coding. So this is why I'm still calling it the tunnel demo coding, because it's related to it to a certain extent. Today, for those that started following me last week and were on my streams last week, you know that now I have, let's say, a new setup, okay, which is this one. This is my real hardware. I can stream from any machine that I want. And as you see, my hands on, on the where the text is, where the chat is. This is what we are going to use today, the Amiga 600. Okay, the demo of Ozzy is running on it. It's a standard Amiga 600. No, nothing else. So there's no accelerator or extra memory or stuff like that. It's basic standard Amiga 600. The only thing that it has Kickstart 3.2. That is it. That is with Workbench 3.2. Nothing else. I like my Amigas in a way standard. I do have accelerated Amigas, but I also like the standard Amigas. So that is one thing that has changed since last year, let's say that. You can see that I have the Commodore 64 here. Under it, the 64C, but this is a modified version. One day I might talk about it. Under it, there is the Commodore 128D. Okay, this is the Commodore 128 keyboard, and here there is the Amiga 1200. On this side, we have the Vampire. We have the A500 with the ACA. In the middle, we have the Mega 65. And here, as I said, I have the Amiga 600. That's what I will be using today, as I said. So let's go to the usual thing. Let's go to...
Maybe it's the shell read. Something like that.
Yeah, it could be. So guys, all I ask is that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow, follow the channel. For the videos that are related to coding, normally under the video, when you select more, you have links, like in this case, this one, where it takes you to Mega, and there you can download the code related to that video, basically. And Mega, you can see on Mega, you have Commodore 64 or Amiga directories where the sources are. Not all sources are available because some of them are locked to Patreons only. So if a video, if you go to there and you don't find it, or if there's not, if you cannot see it, that means it's locked to, and normally I say anyway, it's locked to Patreons. So besides that, I have my Phase 101 Facebook page, which is still my blog. Besides that, I have the Phase 101 Facebook group on Facebook, and also the Commodore Dev Facebook group. I have other groups like Retro Programmers Inside, etc., but these three are the main ones for me. The others I'm helping, basically. Besides that, if you want to reach me, you can reach me via Facebook Messenger, but I take time to reply. While if you send me messages on Discord, then I am quite quick to reply. Let's say that. If you don't like Discord or you don't like Messenger, Facebook, you can also reach me on Telegram. The links that appear in the chat, there are links to all these, and you can see them also in the upper right hand corner of the screen. For those that want to go the extra mile and support me, you can either select between Patreon or Coffee. Both of them are identical in terms of content, and you will unlock, how many does it say? It should say somewhere. Yeah, 274 posts is there, which are related to development in both. Okay, so
Oh.
there you go, Ozzy. I listened to you, Ozzy. I got it. Okay, I got it.
You got it?
It's really good actually, because I didn't know all the terms. Oh, honestly, I didn't know all the terms. So it's really a good book. When you want to check the terms that they use for related to synthesizers to synthesize music, I found it very useful. So yeah, that's something that I got after you mentioned it last week. So yeah, thank you, and it's really good. It's really handy. So
It's not even expensive. I
no,
remember I
no, it's
bought quite cheap.
yeah. I think it's 15 sterling. I think I bought it. So yeah, it's quite cheap. Besides
Yeah,
that,
it's a glossary of terms. Yeah, and it helps you to get started, like me, because I'm really
yeah.
a beginner.
Yeah. Besides that, this week or last week and end of last week on eBay, I managed to find this. Now I'm not going to try to do unboxings, but I want you to know what it is, because most of you do not know what this is, and you do not know what it contains. So
Is it a box or a book?
it's a box. It's a box. I'm going to,
It's a box
yeah,
with goodies inside.
with goodies inside. Yeah, this is how it was sold back then. Okay, it's exactly, and it's in mint condition. Okay, so when you open the box, give me a second. Okay, you open the box. Okay, and you get this. It's a video. Okay, it teaches you how to
A
use the.
VHS,
It's a VHS video, yeah, tape.
and you have the VHS player.
I do have, yes, I do have one. So yeah, an introduction to the Amiga 1000, 1200 retro. Ciao, ciao, the retro layer. Hello, hello. So yeah, it has this in it, but wait, this is the. So it's a video to the introduction of the Amiga 1200. Then it has 4 discs, okay, and these discs, I mean, uh, there are there is 1 and 2. What is 1 and 2? Beginner spec. Yeah, this teaches you how to use the Amiga 1200, and then there is another one which is related to the same thing. It's very difficult to, yeah, like that. Yeah, and then there is the next steps, and I tell you why there is the next step. I'm showing them intentionally. Okay, so I'm going to take more stuff from the box. So this is the book that the video explains. It's basically explains things to the Amiga 1200, related to CLI and all that stuff. It's quite new. I cannot hardly open it. I do not want to ruin it, but that is uh, the the book. But besides this book, which is called Amiga 1200, okay, there is the next steps. Okay, so this continues on the video, there is, when you open it, the first page, there is what is Octamed, because you get Octamed with this package. Can you see it on this side? On this side, you see the color is different, but it says what is Octamed, and there you go. It, yeah, there. Yeah, it says what is Octamed, and here you could, because there were more books, you could order the books from here. Now, this is what you so this box contained these two books, okay, plus the video plus the discs. Okay, so let me put it back, and then I show you what's next, because I was so happy to get it. So this was the pack, how it was sold initially. The books, you can buy them also separate. You could buy the books also separate back then, but this one was with the video, and this is why I liked it, because you know it's complete. It's how it should be. I'm not going to do it now because I'm afraid I will ruin it. But there were these two also. Amiga assembler. Sorry, let's show this. Amiga assembler and Amiga disk drives. And these explain, one doing assembly on the Amiga and one doing things related to the disks, programming the disks, etc. So I have the 4 books now related to this. And you see the guide here. You see that they're still, it's because they refer to this box. See, the books has got the guide on it. Anyway, I thought I was lucky to find one, because it's very rare to find one. It's very, very rare.
I think in Europe is even more rare, because all this stuff is usually available if you are able to find it on ebay.co.uk and not ebay.it.
Yeah, it's very rare. This was produced in UK, so this is why. But trust me, I've been looking for this for many, I don't want to say years, but for a long time. I couldn't find them. The books, you find them by themselves, but not with the video, and also not all the books. So not getting those then. So besides that, I also managed to get my hands on. So I went this weekend. I went to Scarborough, and I found a bookshop that has old books, okay, but it had Amiga books. So I managed to get my hand on this one, Mastering Amiga C, Complete Amiga C, Becoming an Artist on the Amiga. It's quite good, this book. It explains the pen and how to use it very well. And tricks and tips for the Amiga, tricks and the secret. And this covers the Amiga 1200. I didn't buy the whole store. He had also an Amiga 1200 for sale, and lots of other books, but not related to programming, but related to either games or like word processor and stuff like that. So yeah, and I found the bookstore just by mistake. Hello, hope Mister, thanks for the follow. Basically what happened was this. I was walking, and my partner told me to stop. And I stopped, literally, and she told me to look at something on the mobile. And then I looked around like this, and holy crap, this is an old bookstore. I just went in, and it's really massive. I mean, it has halls in it. I mean, you walk in like one, two, three. It had 4 corridors, and each corridor with books. Okay, I just said, okay, I'll go and find computing, and they were there waiting for me. The books. Hello, Sourcey. So yeah, I basically took everything that had related to development. There was another book, but I have it, which was AREX programming, which is. Let me see, what is it? I know I have it. Anyway, I know I have it somewhere here. It was. It's from the same series of this one, the mastering series. It has got mastering Amiga ARX. So yeah, but I have it, so I didn't get that one. I don't know where I put it, but I know it is here. Oh, there it is. This one. Yeah, this one. So yeah.
At this moment, you could also buy Rex books, because AREX is a derivative work from Rex. It's not something that was invented by Commodore. It's just the Amiga adaptation.
Yes, but yeah, but I wanted the ones for the Amiga. No, this is the thing. That's why Amiga Rex. No, Amiga Rex.
Yeah,
no,
of course. But still, you miss the most important book, which is yours book, the one that you committed to write, and still I don't find it on Amazon or
man,
the other.
man. That is that is somebody else asked me about it this weekend. But yeah, the laptop which I am on right now is named Rex. So the retro layer. Did you sing like Sam? No, I do not sing, and that's why I do not scare people. The books I didn't scare the books. I found them. By the way, guys, thanks for those that followed. I normally stream things related to Amiga or Commodore 64, Amiga coding, most of the time, or Commodore 64 coding. Today is not my. It's a day when I do not. Ciao Bartam. Ciao. Hello. Today is a day where normally I am more relaxed, and it's Ozzy's turn to do coding or to talk about coding. But when Ozzy will not be, because sometimes Ozzy will not have anything to do to say for on a Tuesday day. So then I will be streaming something else. That book. Yes, I know. I cannot find that book. I cannot find that book. I know. The Guru book. Yeah, I cannot find it. Eventually it will show up. I cannot hear you, Ozzy. I cannot hear you. Did you mute yourself?
I think this book is the only one you're still missing.
I know.
Because otherwise your collection, I think, it's almost complete.
It's not
You have to
almost
find
complete.
this.
It's not almost complete, but yeah. It's. I mean, I have here, I have there, I have there. So yeah, I have lots of books. I mean, for those that do not know, people collect hardware. I'm not a hardware collector, but I'm a book collector related to retro. So yeah, I have a lot of books, a lot, and not just in UK, even in Malta. So yeah. Anyway, so I think I spoke a lot. It's time for Ozzy to talk now, and I can drink my water, and he can start talking about what he did.
Proton is right. However, if you want to program demos or on the Amiga, you just
Yes.
the hardware reference manual.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I'm not just interested in doing demos, so it's not about that. So yeah, um, uh, let's pass on to Ozzy. Ozzy, when you want, you can
Yeah,
start.
I am requested by RetroLayer. By the way, do you know who he is?
You met him. You met him at the Firenze Vintage Bit. He
Oh
was with
yes,
Sam.
you were
He was
you
with
were
Sam.
there. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't remember. Yes, and he fixed, I think, half of my Amigas. Really.
Also. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Ah,
do you remember when I said, "Oh, my Amiga 500 Plus is
yeah,
dead,
yeah.
and I cannot use my actual replay anymore, so I'm blind at this point because without actual replay, I don't know how to proceed."
Uh-huh.
And I just sent a message to him, and
Uh-huh.
after maybe a month, it was working again. So it was
Okay.
a bad RAM module.
So let's make an advert to him now. For those that has got issues with their hardware, you can send them to the retro layer. He will fix your machine.
Yes, but
Look,
only after mine are fixed.
Even Carlo, look, he's saying he fixed my CD32. So yeah, good job, the retro layer. I will be sending them if I could still do it like in the old days. I would be sending you my hardware too. But yeah. Anyway, Ozzy, in your hands. When you want, I
So
will show the slides.
yes, let's start with the slides, and in the meantime, I will just recap what I said last week
You don't want to
because
see
I don't.
yourself?
Oh, it's the same. It's up to you. Not so proud of my uh, appearance, to be honest, because I didn't shave. I have a lot of beard. But
Anyway,
anyway,
there you go.
yeah. Since I don't know if everybody followed the last stream, it was cut into parts because it was getting boring, probably, and maybe too
It
long.
was getting too long. It was going to get too long, not boring.
Yeah, after talking about 1 hour and a half, I stopped it because I lost my
1 hour and
voice.
50 minutes to be exactly, because I was editing the video.
Okay. So just a little recap. What I'm doing in these days is to, let's say, program a little demo. And since I like size coding, I set a personal challenge. I want to do this animation effect of a tunnel, which is not really a tunnel. It's just an illusion. It's just an image which is recalculated in real time according to a transformation matrix. And the personal challenge is I want all my code, all my assets, all my music, everything to stay inside 4K of executable. So 4,000 bytes, no more. This doesn't mean that you need only 4K of RAM available. It just means that the final executable, which is stored inside a disk, for example, the maximum size is 4K, no more. There are no competition as far as I know about in this category. Usually when you do a demo party, there are two main sections for the Amiga, the demo competition and the intro competition. With the demo competition, there is no limit virtually. And if you go for the intro competition, usually they give you 64K. So I'm just lowering the bar here to the extreme and going 4K, which for an Amiga program is quite difficult since the Amiga is not the best machine in order to do size coding. It's pretty hard. You have to be very, very accurate when you write something. And still, it must work. So given to this, I started with the big topic, which is music or sounds, as you prefer. You already know that the Amiga has this chip called Pola, which is able to reproduce 4 different channels. But of course, you have to feed Pola with some data. And usually the data are just what I call instruments, but they are usually called in the Amiga jargon samples or sample, I don't know, which are, it's just some raw data, which it's in a byte format, an assigned byte format that describes the wave, the audio wave that Pola is supposed to reproduce. And as you can easily understand, even a small, let's say, fraction of a second of a sound takes a lot of space. Usually when you download a mod file, for example, the mod file it's this format that has everything inside, so the score, the description, the author of the music, but also the instruments. And usually when you go, for example, the biggest site that I know for downloading mods is modarchive.org. And even in this site, even the smallest mods are usually, let's say, 20K, 30K. So as you can understand, since my whole program with the code must fit inside 4K, I can't just take something from mod archive and shove it into my executable. It will work, but it will just bloat my executable, and my personal challenge will fail. So last week, what I described was to do how to build these instruments without using them really, but I mean without downloading from mod archive. But I found this program, this Windows program, which is called Amiga 4K, which essentially it lets you to create your instruments just using code, assembler code. And this allow you to have a nice sounds, let's say, without really importing or putting the binary inside. You have just to put code inside your program, and the code usually is less noisy that if compared to a wave. This means that the compressor, the shrinkler in my case, is able to perform a very good job, because the instructions at least are always the same. I usually use moves, I usually use shift operation, load in memory operation. So there is this sort of redundancy that it's very good for shrinkler or any other compression. So last week I just explained my experience with Amiga 4K, and I just built my instruments in some ways. I copied one of them from Virgil, I think, and yeah. And at the end of the day, I got this, let's say, raw data, and I had to play it. Still, inside my 4K, you don't only have your tunnel code, you don't only have your instruments, you have to play something. Now, as I told you last week, there is a very good routine inside the RemJam book, which is supposed to play any mod file that you have, and it works fine. But the problem is it's quite slow, and it takes a lot of bytes. So it's quite big, and we can do better. For this reason, I started to look around and see which are the other options that we have today. And of course, there is a P61, which is, let's say, a standard today for the Amiga music. And it's some sort, the concept is the P61 just gets off of the unnecessary data in order to reproduce the sound, and has his own proprietary format. And there is, of course, a player that you have to use instead of the RemGem one. And it works good. There are many other players out there, but I found this this player which was it's quite new, and it's astonishing, at least for me. And it's called LSP Player, and it's from Leonard. And I think he's the member of some big demo group out there. Mm-hmm. So I think you can skip to slide number 8. I don't remember the page when we left off.
First of all, Ozzy, let me do a shout out to Proton. Proton, sorry, I didn't say hello to you, but yeah, this is a shout out to Proton. The other thing is that I think we should show the demo that you did before we continue.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And just replying to Proton, yes, it depends. Of course, also the patterns takes some space. It depends, of course, how long is the pattern. But yes, usually, from my experience, a big part of the mod file is at the end, and it's taken by the instruments. So, of course, I started to address how can I shrink the instruments instead of the score, the patterns, as you said. Then I will focus, of course, if there is a way to also shrink the patterns, which also takes some byte, of course. In my case, the pattern is very simple, so it doesn't take too much.
Okay, so let me show there it is. This is what Ozzy did. Is the sound okay? Of the demo?
As usual, I don't hear anything, but I trust.
For you it's difficult because you are on Discord, but I'm hoping that the people on the stream do not have issues to hear it. I mean, I can hear it, but I do not know them. If anyone can say it's okay, that would be great.
Yeah, the pattern here, as I said, it's quite basic, and it's not even mine. It's something that I stole, let's say, from a tutorial on YouTube. Actually, I'm looking for an artist that, given these instruments, can compose something for me. For example, a melody which is a little more interesting, but still the limit is it's quite big because you have to stay in 4 kilobytes. So I'm asking too much to the artist. They will curse me forever. Maybe I found one that could be interested. I hope. Otherwise, I'm trying to compose on my own a little melody. But really, ProTracker, it's a beast for me. It's not easy to compose. I can play piano. I did it when I was younger, but piano is totally a different thing. So I can't compose on ProTracker so far. It's very hard for me.
Okay, so let me switch to the slides now. So there you go. You can start. And thank you, Sorcy, for not muting me. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the slide. Lightspeed player. So this is my main weapon so far for this size coding adventure, and is a speed player. It's open source, and it's by I think I will butcher his name, of course. Arno Carr, probably this is the pronunciation. I don't know. And
Arnold Carr,
it's a
yeah.
big name on the demo scene, and it has been used in many production. I just want to mention the biggest, according to me, the best, which are Amazing, Klabisk, Cycle Up, but so many others. And these are very big production that I think most they also were part of the revision last year. So it's good stuff. The replayer routine code is a byte only 500 bytes. So from my 4 kilobytes available, I just dedicated this size to the replayer routine. All the other players, including P61, were much bigger. And of course, they open sourced the replayer routine, which you have to include on your project. They didn't open source LSP convert, and honestly, I don't know why. If you go to the GitHub page, there is an executable, of course, meant for Windows, but I have my VM. It's not deleted yet, so it's still there. At least I hope, because I didn't check it.
Proton Fig told you that Care also implemented LZ4 for the 68,000.
Yeah, but it's strange because in his web page he's mentioning that his replayer routine and the output of LSP convert works very well with Shrinkler. So maybe he's using Shrinkler as well. I don't know. But anyway, the main concept is not new. There is this lsp convert.exe file that is provided inside the GitHub repository, and it takes a mod file that you gave in input. There is no GUI interface. No, you have to use this awkward prompt of MS-DOS, which is supposed to be a terminal. I don't know. In Linux, we have so many terminal, and they are all great. And in MS-DOS, if you want to, in Windows, if you want to have a terminal, you have to use this MS-DOS prompt, which is, I think, almost unusable to me. But anyway, you launch LSP converter, you feed the input mod file as an argument, and the final result will be two different files. One is the ls music file, which contains the score or the pattern, as you prefer, and the other is a bank file. And the bank files are, for what I understand, are just the instruments that are inside the mod files. They are just copied as is with a very little bit of change. So the main concept here, you have to include these files in your program, and that's it. And then the replayer routine will take care of anything, and it works just fine. Even if I got a report from Carlo and also from you that in some configuration or on WinUAE, you don't hear the music for some reason, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or not. It works on. I tried on almost on my every Amiga I have, on a V600, on my ACA Plus, ACA 500 Plus. I tried on FSUAE, and it works, and also on my stock Amiga, and it works fine. Still have to try on Mister, and also on PStorm. But yeah, so far I can't reproduce the problem. So I didn't work on it, to be honest, last week. So I will try again in the future in order to have a full compatibility. So yes, please turn the page. Let's see what else we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was saying before. You open the command prompt, and there is this lsp convert.exe, and I feed with the ozzyvirtual.2.mod as a first argument, and then it starts crunching. It's quite fast, to be honest, and it just gives you some extra information. If you put on verbose mode, it gives much more information. And then you have the ls bank and ls music. And notice here the difference between ozzyvirtual2.lsbank and ozzyvirtual2.lsmusic in terms of size. So the instruments here are asking for 16,000 bytes, more or less. And the score is only 1,000 bytes. Just to give you a rough idea of my mod file, how is done. So 1,000 for me is okay. I can spend this size of my executable, and Shrinkler will, of course, shrink to, let's say, 500 bytes, I assume, something like that. But in no way ozzyvirtual2.lsbank can fit into 4K production. Even if Shrinkler is very good at compressing, there is literally no way. It's too noisy to compress. So yeah, and this is just the how you launch it. Of course, as I said, Windows machine, and that's it. Notice that if you recall from last week, the ls bank size was not exactly I think it's 18,650 bytes. We have 4 bytes extra. This means that LSP convert is taking my instrument, but it's changing something. And what is changing, I think you can see it on the next slide. So please turn the page. I remember that I put something here about this problem.
Yeah, I will do that. I don't know if Dockster is still online or not. Dockster, after when he finished talking about this player, I will show what you did. Okay.
Okay, so let me move this switch stuff. Okay, so this is my Linux terminal. There is this program called XXD, which is just an hex viewer. You can replace it with whatever you want. But the point is, here I'm asking XXD to print my first 10 bytes of each file. And let's compare my original sample, which was created by Amiga 4K, and let's compare to the ls bank, which is the output of lsp convert.exe. And it's quite different. I put a green circle at the beginning, and there is this strange 4-byte header, which is 2BAB0796. And this is something that Leonard inserted at the beginning of the instrument. And to be honest, I don't know what does it represent, why it's there. It just, I don't know. But yeah, My problem is I had to include on my source file this string, let's say this raw data, because probably this is something that the replayer routines need to be there. And the other strange thing that I noticed, it was the first word which was completely deleted. You see that on the original file, we have the first 2 bytes are 8080 in, of course, hexadecimal. So we have 2 bits set. And it seems that LSP convert takes the first word and it just zeros. So the first 2 samples for me are deleted for I don't know which reason. I looked into the doc file and there is no mention of this. There is some comment on the source code that just states it's expecting the first byte to be zeroed, but there is no explanation why. So I don't know. It's just something that you have to take into account because I don't know. Probably without this, the player will crash or whatever. And the same stuff is for the second instrument. If you recall, I created 2 instruments with Amiga 4K. The first one was a drum bass, and the second was, let's say, taken from the Columbia demo. And so the second instrument doesn't have this header at the beginning. So my theory is that the header, the log word header 2BAB0796, is just at the beginning of the whole instrument section. And then for each instrument, you just, at least LSP convert, just zeros these 2 bytes, as I said, for unknown reasons, but I'm sure that there is a suitable explanation for this. If someone knows why is that, I am very curious. But sorry, the point is, since I'm generating the sounds with a program, with code, I have to make sure that the final output of my code still must write this type of data. So I have to make sure that this 2BAB is written somewhere at the beginning of the instrument section, and then have to make sure that the 0 bytes, the word must be there. So that's just to report what I did. Please turn the page.
Yeah, did you see what Night Shift wrote? The first word is 0 probably because often samples after playing happen to loop the first words. This way you don't have noise. And then he said,
you don't have noise? Why do you don't have noise? Because if you loop, you should see if the sample is cut, you should hear something like a clack, I would say. And zeroing should mitigate this problem. Maybe, I don't know. What I'm just saying is that you are deliberately deleting data. So there is no more information about, let's say, the first 2 frames of animation about the music. Probably this is something that no one will never notice, but still, you are really deleting something that is part of the original instrument. So you are not reproducing exactly the instrument that was created. You are, for a very little time, just creating a silence. That's the point. But yeah, anyway, maybe I will write to Leonard on GitHub. If he will respond, I will report here as well. So please turn the page so we can continue.
Yeah.
And I will also turn off the heater because I'm sweating. Okay. So this is exactly what I did in order to start playing the music. And this is quite a standard, the very same code. So this code is quite similar to any other replay routine. In this case, you have to include of course, include lsp.s and lsp_cia.s in your source code, which store, of course, inside there is the replayer routine that you find on GitHub. And then from your program, from my tunnel.s program, I included this section, which is meant for initialization and starting of LSP player. So as usual, I put the address of the music, so the patterns, the pattern file, the first file, which is outputted by LSP convert. I put this address into A0, and then I put LSP bank, so the instruments, into A1. Then we have this also awkward instruction. I think the goal here is just to 0 A2, and I should store the VBR here. I don't know, but I remember that VBR is a 0 only on the first Amigas. For example, the 1000, the 500, the 600. And then with the AGA machine, you have to call a routine in supervisor mode, if I remember correctly, in order to get the VBR. But yes, I just copied what was on the example, and still this code seems to work on my Vampire, on my Amiga 1200. So it seems to work pretty everywhere, even if I didn't manage the calculation of the VBR. So this is another mystery to me. If the routine really needs the VBR address here, I should put extra code in order to go into supervisor mode and then get the VBR. But yes, I'm living like this because it works, and until it works, it will stay like that. Then you have on D0, you have to specify if you are on a PAL machine, or otherwise, if you put 1, I remember you are setting an NTSC. Yes, the American one. It's very difficult to NTSC machine. And then you have to call this LSP music driver CIA start. So I didn't go deep into the code, but for what I understand, this routine, it just installs an interrupt, which is tied to the CIA the CIA chips of the Amiga, which act like a timer. So you don't have to call the music replayer routine each frame, but when this timer is expired, the Amiga should launch the interception routine, and it should play the sample or the instruments as you prefer. And this is quite handy for me because, as I said before, my tunnel is not able to run at full speed, so 50 frames per second. I should put something between the frames in order to realize where when I'm exceeding too much time. So this interrupt method, it's quite handy. It saved me a lot of code and a lot of work. So +1 for this feature. I know that it's possible also to manually invoke the replayer routine inside your game loop. So you wait until, for example, raster line 255, and then you launch the routine, and then you wait again, and it should work the same. But yes, I'm just using this method because it's handy. And then, yes, the following code at 200, line 285, and the following, it's just code which is part of the tunnel. I'm just resetting the time because D3 is what I use to keep track of the time, and it's what allows the tunnel to move forward or backward, because it's all related to D3. So every calculation is related to time, which is represented into D3. But yes, this is another topic. On the second screenshot on the bottom of the page, you see here what I did. I used Inkbeam in order to include the music and the LS bank. And notice that you have to put the even directive after using Inkbeam, because there is a possibility that the LS music byte number, this final size, is odd. So don't forget that. But if you do it, at least my assembler, which is VASM, it will just issue a warning, and you will remember to put even, the even direct, the directive keyword, call it as you want. So when I did this, the final executable size is more than 12,000 bytes. So I went well over the 4K threshold. This is something that I didn't want. So please turn the page, and in the next slide, we will see what I did to go back to the 4K size.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'm going to show what Dockster did, because he deserves it, I think. So let me go to here. Yeah. And this is a game that Dockster wrote, and it's going to be released. He told me. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but here is his game. Let's watch it, guys. And anyway, I think Dockster, well done for what you did. There is no music. There is no music. No music. Ah. I'm not going to show the last one. Yeah, this was the preview version, okay? So it's not the final version. So that if you're noticing some bugs, it's because it's not the final one. But he was telling me today that it's ready. well done, Doctor. I'm going to switch back to the slides now. So, yeah, well done, Doctor. Yeah, I know it's an early version, but yeah, it's the concept is cool, I think. Well done.
I like the concept of the game. It reminds me a
City
game that I
Connection.
had.
City
A
Connection.
game. No, it was called Carvup on the Amiga, and I had this game, and it was a lot of fun. And I think it's just a clone of City Connection. I don't know who came first. Probably
Hello,
City
Pelicos.
Connection.
Hello, Mr. Dario.
Is Dario in the house?
Yeah, Dario's in the house.
But he missed all the part when I was yelling at him for all these size coding adventures. I was cursing him.
You missed something yesterday on coffee break, Ozzy. You should see what Pelicos is doing.
Well, something crazy because probably the revision is approaching, and probably he is going to show something crazy.
No, something for Love Bite he's doing, but yeah.
Oh yes, there is Love Bite.
Yeah.
So something not Amiga related for sure, because Love Bite is very strict. So really, it's not possible to do something on the Amiga for the Love Bite. I think they are allowing maximum size is 1 kilobyte, and so the boot block. And with 1 kilobyte, I can't even shut down the OS, to be honest. So yeah, I'm just going step by step. I'm just trying to stay in 4K, which is a big challenge for me. So let's give it it's a good start. Then we will see if we can do better.
So Dockster told you need to tell Ozzy that I'm working on the Amiga version of his game. So he's working on the Amiga of the game that you mentioned, I guess. So yeah. Can't open no slip in 1K.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the concept is quite similar to Carvup, but the only difference is that it seems that you die with the car touch the ground, and instead on Carvup you had to do a pass on every platform.
Here, eh? This is not complete what you saw here, eh? This is
okay, but
this is the preview of preview, I think.
Okay, but my impression was that the author wanted the player to avoid touching the ground. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. That's the main diff. Otherwise, it's quite similar to Carvup. But yes, it will be quite different for sure, I think.
You have another message from Proton saying, how big is your sinus data? So I don't know.
My sinus data, the sine function is a table. It's 128 bytes because each entry is a byte. So I'm just taking the first quadrant of the Cartesian table, and I divided it into different 128 parts. And then from this data, I compute all the other parts of the sine function. That's how I do it. It's not taking too much in terms of data. What it really is giving me a hard time is the 8 and 2 data, which is a lot. But yeah, the sine data is not a problem according to me, because I get a fairly good accuracy with this method. probably there are better methods in order to optimize my code.
He's telling you mirrored and phased it. Why not calculating it? I mean, those are his questions. Yeah.
Why not calculating what?
I guess the table. He is asking you why don't you do it?
Oh, okay, yeah. I queried the Pellicus also on this topic. I saw that there are methods that allows you to compute the sine function with code with integers. And at the beginning, I said to Pellicus, this is no sense because there is no way to have this type of data. But actually, there is a method. It's not correct in terms of mathematically speaking, but yes, it gives you some series of numbers which are quite close to the correct number. This is something that I can try, but still I have to introduce some sort of error in order to do what? To save 50 bytes. If I really need 50 bytes, I will, of course, try it. But until I don't, I will stay with that. But yes, if Proton or someone has some code, let's say ready to be used code, I can try it because I have two different tables for sine inside my tunnel, and they are all derived from this 128 table data. And it can be better, of course. But as I said, my biggest problem is the 8 and 2 function, which is taking, I think, more than double of the size. And still, it's not accurate. So it will be very helpful to have a way to create the 8 and 2 function programmatically without relying on any table. This will be much more useful to me, at least for this topic, this demo. But yes, so Minsky. Minsky is the keyword. I looked into that, I studied it, and I also tried it. I wrote an implementation assembler, and it works. I didn't use on the demo just because it introduces some sort of an error. And sometimes it's quite big. I don't know if it's something that could give me hard time or problems. Probably not. But as I said, since right now I don't need extra bytes, I didn't use it. And before going with Minsky, I had other weapons under the hood. For example, my fonts. There are letters which are unused. I can just zero all the fonts with letters that are unused in order to help Strickler again. And another thing that I didn't said before is this LSP player is currently under development by Leonard, and it's already good because the replayer routines, as I said, is 500 bytes. But I saw a commit, I think it was last Sunday, it's quite recent, and it seems he introduced a new mode, which I think is called the micro mode. And what it should do, according to the docs, is that it will use much more RAM, but it will and much more space in order to store the banks, but it should be highly compressible. So it's a trade-off. You give more RAM, and in exchange, the replayer routines will give you more compression ratio. And I think I can save some bytes if it works, of course. Another thing that I didn't mention before is that this replayer routine has also a function which just gives you the position of the mod that you are playing inside the pattern, and it doesn't work, at least to me, because I'm too dumb in order to make it work. And I wrote to Leonard, and he replied, and we are working on a solution. So Leonard is also it's available, and it's cooperative. So thanks to him. Yeah, but let's get back to the slides, because as usual, I'm going off topic.
Mm-hmm.
So in the slide before, we saw that I just used the Inkbeam keyword, which is something that Vasm is able to understand, and DevPack, of course, in order to include the LSBank file produced by LSP convert by Leonard. And the file size skyrocketed to 12,000 bytes. Here we see what I did in order to save space. And the idea was, if you look at the bottom image, I just commented out the Inkbeam directive, and I replace it with just some zeros. And the zeros are just the same size of the LSBank file. And the reason for that is that if you put a bunch of zeros in this way, when Shrinkler analyzes the final executable, it will just compress all this chunk of data very easily, because it's just zero. So it will probably store somewhere that we have a series of zero, and so the decompressor will just restore this series of zero. But the final executable won't be bloated with all these zeros. That's the point. So my instrument here are now let's say not generated, because in the executable we have all these zeros, and the instrument is let's say computed in the above image, when there is this function which is called ak_generate. And you recall last time I told you that Amiga 4K can export your samples in very different ways. You can export as raw file, you can export like in patch, I remember, you can export like instrument, and you can also export like in ASM assembler data. So it's just assembler code. And if you use this, the latter, it just gives you an ASM file that you can include. And inside this file, there is the implementation of ak_generate. So the point is, if you put this Virgil header into A0, and then you put the magic number that I told you before, because Leonard, for some reason, inject this, let's say, header before the instrument, so I have to replicate exactly what was generated by LSP convert. So after the move.l at line 133, A0 should point exactly at Ozzy Virgil data. And Ozzy Virgil data is then filled by ak_generate. And when ak_generate is done, you should have the same exact situation like if you included Ozzy Virgil 2.lsbank. So what you have in RAM, it should be the same exact data. So the replayer routine can't complain, because he doesn't know if you generate the instrument with some code, or you actually included this with Inkbeam. Notice that also I put some addresses, scene table and scene table 2, into A1 and A2. These are just, let's say, dummy addresses, because according to the documentation, you have to put a 0-byte temporary work buffer address, which I don't know what is it, a 0-byte temporary work buffer. So my only understanding is that it's asking some sort of address where to put temporary data. And I don't know why 0. So at this point, since the scene table is not already built, I just told AK generate, okay, use this chunk of data, because I really don't care what you are going to do with it. It will be overwritten later in any way. And then on A2, according also to the documentation that I reported in the comment, there is this quote, external samples address need to be in chip memory and can be freed after sample rendering complete. The problem is I don't use external sample addresses. If you recall from last week, I said there are many ways that AK Lang can generate your final output sound. You can just put some oscillators and then do some math operation on it. But you can also start with something that you already have. For example, an external sample. They call it like that. There is a load button in Amiga 4K, and it lets you upload something that you already have, and then you start changing the behaviors according to your taste. I don't know, but I assume that here the AK generator is asking for where are these external samples stored. But since I only use mathematical functions and oscillators in order to generate my sound, I don't think I should provide anything. So, but yes, since I have this chunk of data which is pointed by scene table 2, I just said, okay, let's just feed A2 with this address and see what we got. This is just the main reason why I have line 144 and 45. I just don't want the replayer routine to complain, but I think they could be omitted, and I could maybe save another couple of bytes after shrinkalizing all this data. But yeah, the point is we went from 12,000 bytes up to 3,992 bytes, which is quite a big save. And I'm still, sorry, in the limit of 4K. I still have 100 bytes, more or less, to play with, which is quite cool, I would say. And that's let's say how I included a mod file inside my 4K production. When I started, I didn't even know it was possible, and I was wondering how they managed to fit a mod file which is 20 kilobytes inside a 4K production. I don't know if this is the right way, but I think the only suitable way is to go programmatically and to generate the instruments with some sort of algorithm like Amiga 4K did. I don't see any other way, to be honest. But anyway, this is what I did, and this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Do we have other slides, or are we done? I don't remember.
No, you have 3 more.
3? How it's possible? I'm already tired. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yes. This is something that I put on my notes because I want to remember it in the future if I have to use LSP player again. We have this directive at the beginning of the lsp.s file, which are AK use progress and AK find progress. And this, if I understand correctly, it's just asking if you want, for example, to have a bar in your screen, which is reporting the progress of the creation of the sample. I think that's the goal, because otherwise I don't see any other usage. But I said to me, but do I need this on a 4K production? Because usually when I start a 4K production, especially on the Amiga, or I see a very long computation time. So the demo seems frozen at the beginning, and probably the CPU is working hard in order to compute everything, to pre-calculate everything. But yeah, usually I don't see these bars, and since it allowed, it cost me about 50 bytes. I said I will just disable it. So just remember that when you include by default the LSP player, this AK use progress is equal 1, so it is turned on, but you can easily turn it off with just changing the 1 into 0. Additionally, there are two other, let's say, routines, which are LSP music get pause and music set pause. Music get pause is what I was trying before to use, and it doesn't work to me, probably because I didn't understand how it works really. But as I said, I'm in touch with Leonard using GitHub, so probably I will understand what's wrong. But the point here is the LSP player is providing you these methods, this extra code, but probably you don't need this unless you want to force the mod to jump. You want to jump from a different part of the module, or to know where exactly you are when playing the module. If you don't need this, you can just delete or comment out this part, and you will save some extra bytes, more or less, after compressing it, of course. Yes.
Just one thing. I let you talk, but Proton send us the make sinus source. It calculates 2048 values, sinus plus cosines. Total is 450 degrees and 5 kilobytes. Code takes 191 bytes. So this is something I will share it with you, Ozzy, later.
Do you have the source code?
Sorry?
Do you have the source code?
Yeah, he sent us the source code. So thank you very much, Proton. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I will definitely try it.
Let's make another shout out to Proton.
Probably is the Minky algorithm that I was talking about before. Yeah, at least the base is Minky.
Will be more like a demonstration. It's not a demo, it's a music collection.
It's very rare, Proton, to hear you talking. So nice to hear your voice, actually. Anyway, do you need me to turn this slide, or you finish from this one? I can.
Yeah, no, you can turn the page.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a feature that Leonard is not providing, and a feature that I needed. if you recall, for example, in the RAM Jam book, when they discussed their mod player routine, they just give you some hints in order to how to understand when a sample is played, so you can synchronize the effect of your demo with the sound, some sort of synchronization. I remember that there was an example on the Ramja book. It was a view meter, I think. I don't remember exactly, but the goal was when the sample is played, you show a full bar, and then the bar slowly decreases and shrinks until the sample is not played again. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I don't think that LSP player provides by default. So what I did, I took my action replay, or at least I was using an emulator this time, not the real action replay, using my FSUIE debugger. And I tried to understand what was going on inside the replayer routine. And I found this section at line 179. And I realized that every time that this part of code is executed, some sample was going to be played next. So what I did is I realized that D2 actually contains the number of the channel which is going to be played. And from that, I told to myself, okay, let's allocate 2 more bytes, for example, just because I want to stay even, but a single byte would have been enough. And I used bset D2 at this particular location. So, for example, if channel 1 is going to be played, we set the first byte in this particular memory allocation. And then I didn't show how to use this inside my tuner routine, but the concept, as you can guess, it's quite simple. It works something like how the keyboard interrupt is designed. So there is the interrupt that stores the bit, and then during the rendering of the tunnel, I check if this bit is set, and if yes, of course, I have to do something. For example, in my case, the blue color is lighting, so it's blinking. And then my routine is in charge of resetting the bit to 0. That's the point. So the player sets to 1, then the rendering part reads this bit, and if it's set, it just to a clear in order to acknowledge that this data has been read. If I don't do this, of course, I will be expecting this bit to be always 1. So it makes no sense. It's just a waste of space and computational power. And I don't know why Leonard didn't include this function inside his code, probably because he was aiming for the fastest possible player and with minimum size. So this is something that must be taken care of the user, probably. I don't know. But you
can write as I said, him, no?
Sorry?
You can write to him and ask him.
Of course, I can also submit a pull request and see why it gets rejected.
Also, yes.
But the point is that I wanted the colors to be some sort of blinking when we have the drum bass, which is doing tunes, tunes, tunes. And this is how I do it, how I did it. So just using this extra instruction, a bset, which is quite consuming because I'm accessing memory. But yes, I think it's the only way, because this routine is trashing all the registers of the processor. I think all data registers are already used. I can't touch them. So I was forced to store somewhere in RAM. Otherwise, I have to use move into SP. And yeah, I don't think it's worth it. Okay. Yeah, next slide so we can finish.
The way you said it.
Why are you laughing?
Because
Did I
of the way you
say?
finish, it sounded bad in English. Like, hurry up, let's finish it.
Yeah, I want to go to sleep. Tomorrow I have to work. Come on.
You have to include Proton Fig here.
I have to include Proton Fig if his routine works as expected. So I'm the final judge.
Yeah, okay. But he's still trying to help, so you should still say thanks.
Of course,
Even if it doesn't
I've
work.
already thanked him, and I want to remind that one time he also gave us an algorithm for square root calculation, and I adopted it. So it's inside my repo. So hope I won't sue me for this. So this is the second contribution. Final words. It's just thanks, nothing more, because sometimes I feel that there is not enough sharing in the Amiga community. When I find new demos on PoE, most of the time there is no sources attached. You just get the final executable or the ADF. So most of the time the code is closed. Of course, you can decompile, you can inspect with your debugger, but what I would really like to have it's just the full source code with, let's say, some comments, so the instruction how to compile it and so on. Probably I'm asking too much.
Yeah, of course. I was going to tell you that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Do something of yours first. So that's why you have to disassemble it at least.
But I can assure you that I learned a lot with the Ramjam book, but I also had nice intuition thanks to the reading of other sources that I found on the internet. So it's another way to learn.
Yes, of course, agree.
And this is why I just wanted to thank all these guys, Antti, Riyad, Leonard, Dan Lemon, Virgil, because, come on, making Amiga Klang, it was an effort. I'm pretty sure about that. And making the LSP player, it was an effort. So I think they spent a lot of hours of work, and they could have closed the source and use it for his own demos, but instead all the code is on GitHub and you can change it and you can read it, and they are also willing to help you if you are in trouble using these tools. So I can't thank them enough. I really hope that other in the future will follow this stuff, this way of sharing and caring. Of course, my tunnel is open source as well, and so the final implementation is inside this tunnel, Ozzyboshi, github.com, ozzyboshi/tunnel. Of course, it's not yet completed, but yeah, I have to figure it out why it's not working on particular WinUI configuration, which I don't know. Another thing that I'm planning to do, and this is a spoiler, what I would like to have on my tunnel is a sprite, and I want to have a spaceship which is flying towards the center of the tunnel. Maybe it's cool, maybe it's not doable, because I will run out of space, so it will stay like this. But I want to give it a try. And the good news for you is that I'm using the Amiga font editor in order to draw the sprite, the spaceship. And I'm going to use this, I don't know how you call it, attached sprite. So there are actually two sprites, but the width is 32 pixels instead of 16.
No, those are adjacent sprites. Adjacent, one next to each
adjacent.
other.
Okay,
if
attached is
attached one on top of the other.
Okay, they are the multicolor sprite, the 16 color.
No, then if they are the 16 color, then it is the attached sprite.
Okay, so what I'm doing, it's not attached sprite, which is a feature which is already implemented, but I'm just doing, you can set the width of the sprite, and you can use the full width, for example, 16 multiplied by 8, and you can do a very big sprite. So one next to another.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good feature, actually.
Yeah, and you requested, I remember, last year, this picture.
Yeah, it's been a year waiting for it.
Yeah, I'm working on this because now I need it in order to draw my spaceship, because I want to do
okay, next time I will use my head. I will invent something for you so that you give me what I want in the font editor.
Yeah, still it's not working. I started last Sunday, and it's not easy because my code is not enough flexible to do such big things, but big changes.
Okay.
But I think it's doable. I could have something for next week, but of course I don't promise anything. But if you see a spaceship on the tunnel, probably I succeeded.
Okay.
And so that's it for tonight.
Okay. So first of all, I'd like to thank Proton again for sharing his code and for his contribution today to the stream. Pericus for the stream of yesterday on coffee. Actually, I think it was a good one, even though not really productive, but the ideas were flowing. So that's the thing. And also, all those of you that are still here, following and listening to us, Night Shift, forgot Dockster, Z3K, Childa, and all the others that I can't remember right now. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Have a lovely evening or whatever, and a lovely week. Thank you, Ozzy. See you. Bye-bye.
Bonsoir à tout le monde.
Ciao. Ciao, guys. Ciao.